Yeah.
There
Okay.
we
Now
go.
it's recording.
Hey, we're there.
Oh, sorry. Hey. All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Ember Sky. My name is Graham, and I'm here with Kevin, and we are discussing making independent films and
Yeah, we
learning
are.
how to press the record button twice
Yeah,
on
we
the
already did
streaming
an
software.
intro. You don't know that part. He's gonna edit that part out, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. That
It's
it
technical
didn't
show.
record, so I don't have to edit it at all. Yeah, technical show where I don't know how to technically hit the record on the streaming software, because I have my camera set up right in front of the screen, um, which is always interesting. If you're streaming, maybe just use a webcam, but I lent mine to my mom, so yeah.
Hey,
All
man.
right, so awkward intro over. This is Kevin, and he is working on your first feature film, right?
Um, Technically, it would be my directorial debut for a
Okay.
feature. I've been on many, many features. I've been with people from places and things that you've never heard of or never will hear from them again because it was shot on an alley and on a camcorder as guerrilla filmmaking as you can. But I've also been lucky enough and made good choices, and I managed to work with people like um, well, when the Michael Keaton came through, I worked on the film that he was part of with Michelle Monaghan. Um, and I learned tons and tons of stuff from the first AD on that. It was spectacular. A guy named Reed Dunlop. You can IMDb him. He's spectacular. But he taught me a lot, and his crew, and I managed to learn a ton under the tutelage of Adrian Langley, of course, being the filmmaker who made Butchers. What you may not know is I produced Butchers with
Oh,
another gentleman named Doug Phillips,
okay.
and Butchers wouldn't exist if it wasn't for all of us. Of course, Adrian being the genius who wrote it and shot it and all that stuff. We produced and were part of it and did all those little tiny jobs that you never think of. But um, that's as far as the independent stuff go. I managed to snag a AD job on a Bell Media series called The Supers, The Stoners, and the Big Bad.
Okay.
Um, it's recent. It's funny. It's very entertaining. A couple of girls from Second City Comedy Troupe wrote it, and it's very
Okay.
fun. It's about a superhero world where these two stoners sell donuts.
Okay.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm like, what? Superhero. Hey, you're about to save the day, but would you like to buy a donut while I
Yeah,
smoke a doobie?
it's a
Okay.
bit odd. It's very funny though. I had a blast making that, and it actually taught me a very valuable lesson.
Okay.
Um, I've done a lot of Hallmarks and Christmas movies and the various things that are shot in and around the capital of Canada. Right? You got to
Yeah.
put
Or
snow. There's
Toronto,
got to
right?
be Christmas.
It's Ottawa. I
But
know it's Ottawa.
I was working on one, and we were getting close to the end of it, and I wasn't having a very good time on it, and couldn't figure out what was going on in my head. Um, but creation and content, they're king, right?
Hmm.
I just I hit a breaking point, I guess. I uh, I love everyone in the industry here. I really do, even the people I hate, because everybody's just trying to get through it. Everybody's trying to make the thing that they want to make, or just get in there and get out and get their paycheck. That
Hmm.
might be all they want to do. But what I found I wanted to do, what I found that really struck home when I was doing that is I was getting off the show, and the producer said to me, "Hey, can you work on this other show for me? I'll just move you over to that other show
Hmm.
right now." I said, "You kind of bit into my week of prep on this Super Stoners thing. Maybe afterwards." He said, "The second you call rap, let me know. I've got 3 years of work for you." That's what he said to me.
All
Um,
right.
it's an honor to be held in that kind of regard. However, it made me really, really think while I was getting through the dirt, seeing things forgotten that I know should be on set, bringing them myself the next day,
Hmm.
simple things like pop-up tent to put your actors under when you're filming in a blazing hot sun with a cornfield. little things, cooler full of water, you know, something. But they were new. They didn't know. And I found a lot of times they were, trying to ask me, well, what should we do? And I'm like, well, it's your project. What do you
Mhm.
want? And that's the most important thing. I saw it in my head. I went, why aren't I doing my project?
Yeah, that
And like
I
I
see
said,
that.
I'm honored, by the way, to be, associated with Butchers. It's a beautiful film. I love it. It's available on Amazon and Tubi here in North America. It's available around the world. My name is on something, as a producer
Mhm.
that went around the world, but it's not my movie, right?
Yeah,
So
and s and the slasher film is gonna be, like, your movie, you're the sole producer, or do you have a team of people?
not only is it my movie, I wrote it,
Okay,
um, I'm directing it,
okay.
I'm going to be working on the editing.
Yeah, I've been there.
Wait, there's more.
Okay,
Post production, audio, because
okay.
the thing that you probably don't know is back in the 90s, ask your mom, she'll know. But I was kind of a rock star. And the band did fairly well. And, we had a couple videos on Much Music. Kim Clark Champness, called us the band to watch. He was the head of the music department in Much Music back when they played music instead of Kardashian butts.
Alright.
But, I mean, it's exciting because, I'll be able to get into the studio and I'll dust off some old equipment and I'll
Mhm,
bring in some of the new equipment that I've been playing with and we'll have just a blast. I mean, you know, during the period between getting this on its feet and getting through things, I had a few commitments to do. I had a couple of films to do with again with Adrian Langley.
mhm,
Uh, you'll hear more about them as they come out. But um, it got me really interested in the things that I needed to build for my own. And I watched and I learned and I picked up as much technical knowledge as I could. Um, and we shot a proof of concept, a little short film. And if you go to the Indiegogo and click on the promo video, there's a little piece of a film called "The Legend of Joseph Goody." Joseph Goody is a character who it takes place in an old insane asylum. So there's like literally a million stories I could tell. Right? It could be every single
yeah,
patient that's ever been locked up. But we chose Joseph Goody because he's kind of relevant to the story a little bit.
okay.
So, because he's the big bad of that town, but he's dead. So it's a whole, no, or is he? We'll see. But it's a slasher film.
Okay,
So already I've got a box that I have to play in, right?
mhm,
But it's a slasher film that is literally called slasher film. So it's a bit
mhm,
self-aware. It's not quite Scream levels of self-aware, but it is
okay,
self-aware in the sense that, you know, these kids, they get into an insane asylum, they're in a little trouble with the law, they have to gentrify an old insane asylum and make it into condos, which by the way is happening all over the world.
okay.
Um, and someone hasn't moved out yet. Oh my god, this sounds so original. I've never heard this concept for a slasher film before, right? But wait, there's more.
Go
Halfway
ahead.
through the movie, they find out they're in a slasher film, but we never talk to the audience
Okay,
and we never break the fourth wall. Now, how am I going to do that? So you have to go to the Indiegogo. You got to pledge so I can get this thing made.
yep,
And even if you can't pledge, and this is the silly part. I know there's a lot of people out there when they're talking about Indiegogo or GoFundMe or Kickstarter, any of those sort of things. This isn't like an invention. It's a movie.
mhm,
I'm going to make it one way or the other. The money is simply, I'd really like to pay the crew and I'd really like to pay the cast.
yeah,
That's really what it's for. And while I have some money hopefully coming soon, it's not in my hands yet. So as of this second, I have $0 to pay my cast and crew with. So I did a little fun doing thinking that the fundraising will give me a little start. I'll have a better idea as to what, my budget will look like at that point and how much is coming in from outside sources. Plus, we'll see. I mean, the crazy thing could happen and somebody could just come in and fund the damn thing. There's a lot of things that you have to worry about when you're dealing with fundraising. I got to be honest. I hate it. And I only hate it because as a person, and you've known me for a little bit, so
Mhm.
you kind of maybe get this impression, but I hate to ask for help. I'd rather just figure out a way to do it myself. And I know that there's a lot of people, well, let people help you, and I'm trying. I'm really trying. So even me going, okay, guys, I kind of need some help on this, has been hard for me. It's my own mental tisms, I guess. I just
Yeah.
I've spent so much time kind of looking out for myself. I don't know how to not do it. So just asking is staggering to me. And the fact that, that we jumped up, like I've seen fundraisers asking for big chunks of money and they made, $1,000.
Yeah.
It's hard to see that happen because you're thinking, wow, that person, overestimated the work that it takes. But I'm doing everything I can to get it out there. I've managed to, get some good stuff happening for this film. And if you check out the little promo vid, which I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere, probably around
Probably that down below, yeah.
down here, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
if it's
somewhere around
is
there.
it on YouTube?
There is actually, yeah, it's on the Null
Alright,
and Void Media webpage,
so
so it could
it'll
be.
be up in the top corner, and then the link to the Indiegogo will be down below. Yeah. Video top corner, this top corner, and the Indiegogo campaign link to give Kevin, some money will be
Well,
below. We'll have
that's
that
the other
sorted out.
thing though. Not everybody has money, and I totally get it. You know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean? I mean, even if it's $5, great, but I mean, some people just don't have it, and I get it. Um, but honestly, getting it shared is also equally important. I know a lot of people sort of, whatever, share it once, twice, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be shared. It's got to be shared around the world. I'm lucky enough that I had know enough people. I just had a couple friends in Finland share it.
Mhm.
Another person from the Netherlands shared it. So we're breaking out of the different servers that kind of landlock your, like the reach
Yeah.
of your links.
You need to get into Japan, though. Japan
I
apparently
am
really
working on
likes horror movies.
well, the good news is I have about a month left.
Okay.
Um, I didn't want to go into December because everybody's prepping for Christmas and
Yeah, yeah.
it's a big ask. And I totally get it. And I'm already probably towing into, a little bit of the holiday spirit because I'm sure after American Thanksgiving, things will slow
Yeah,
down. I've been
that's true.
I spent a lot of
This is
years
the
doing
season to
crazy.
ask for horror movie money because it's Halloween and everyone sort of gets into it.
Yeah. And I mean I'm aiming to shoot in February.
Okay.
So having all my ducks in a row and lining things up, I mean, every single day. And, think of an iceberg. An iceberg, what you see, everybody knows this, by the way. This is nothing
Yeah.
new. I'm basically just quoting Wikipedia at this point. But an iceberg on the surface is, a quarter of what the actual size of the iceberg is, not even sometimes. Um, and the stuff under the surface that the general public doesn't see, I mean, would it surprise you to know that I've been working on this pretty much since I was locked down in the middle of filming a short film for an anthology series that I'm working on? During the pandemic a couple of years ago, went into a little bit of a depression like everybody did. We're all locked down. We're not doing things. We're not
Mhm.
creating. And I dusted off an old script that Adrian and I talked about. And now I mentioned Adrian there because we were in the room. We're
Mhm.
friends. So we were chit chatting, and I said, "Well," he goes, "You got anything, that you've written?" I said, "Yeah, I got this thing. It's an idea. The problem is I don't like the title, and I really actually want a title from a short film that he made years ago
Okay.
called Slasher Film. but it was just a short. So he just said, "It's yours." I said,
Huh.
"Really?" So I said, "Well," and he asked me about it, and then we sort of bandied about a couple of ideas, and I sort of laid out the bones, and he said, "That's really cool. What if this happened? What if that happened?" We started bouncing ideas, and I said, "Okay, at this point, you're contributing to the story, so I'll add you in as a story contributor, but I'm going to go write this thing, and I'm probably going to shoot it." And sure enough, here we are 2 years later. Um, Many years ago, about 7 years ago, I talked to Michael Koski, who is the gentleman who's from The Walking Dead, AMC's The Walking Dead, sorry,
Yeah.
and Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy. He's one of those like that guys. You know what I mean when I say that? I think it's actually the technical term, the that guy.
That guy.
Danny
Okay.
Trejo was a that guy for many years. You'd see him in a movie and be like, "Oh, that guy."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I understand what you're saying. It's the it's not they're not extras because they have lines in the
They're
the
features.
movie, but
Oh yeah, well
yeah.
he was
But
the True Blood spinoff, the originals. Yeah, he was a full blown character in the later seasons
okay,
of that. So yeah, he died. You know,
okay,
he was a vampire, so of course he was going to die or get staked or bite
whatever
somebody.
that happens to them.
Vampires, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, he was very and he's definitely a guy that when you see him, you'll go, "Oh, that
yeah.
guy," because again, he played, I think, 6 or 7 seasons of AMC's The Walking Dead. He worked with all the principal cast. Very good friends with, Michael Rooker, who played Yondu. So
Okay.
he was always over his shoulder. He was always there. So heck, he's even in the Christmas special. But he and I talked about doing a movie together like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something about Michael that he'll be maybe a little embarrassed about. Probably, who knows? It'll even make the stream, but
Oh, this is definitely gonna make the stream. Go ahead.
he is so generous with his input, with his time, with his friendship. Like just a spectacular human being. Um, and I see real potential to give him a more humanizing role because usually because he's skinny and he can wear prosthetics and all that sort of thing, they use a lot of facial changes to him, and they'll put blue makeup on him one day and they'll stick an extra eyeball hanging out or something. Like we used to play, I think it was after the farm season. I think that's when he joined. He was one of the first zombies out of the burning barn or something, and then
Mhm.
gradually over the time he just kept on getting more and more and more. He was actually the main zombie face, I guess, for the prison episode. He was on all the promotion. The bald one, that's Michael, but he's
Okay.
not bald. Prosthetics. So but he's in tons and tons. He got stabbed in the face by Merle when they find Andrea Michonne in the woods. He gets stabbed in the face by Merle in the circle of zombies with Daryl. When they're in Woodbury fighting off the governor. Like he's been killed by everybody.
Yeah.
And when he used to come on, like I hate to say this, and again, he's going to hate this probably, and I'm so sorry, Michael, but I got to say it. It was like, "Where's Waldo?" for us, except "Where's Michael?" We'd be like, "Oh, there he is. We saw him. He's that guy right there." It was so much fun, and it was ridiculous because we watched the show pretty regular, like the rest of the planet, you know. So yeah, for him to come on board and to be so generous with his time and his efforts, it just it changed how I was going to make this film.
Okay.
I'm going to try to make this film very differently from maybe films that I or others have worked on. I'm going to try to make this film as ethically and open and honestly as I can. I know that's an impossibility in some worlds. There'll be producers out there that'll hear this and go, "Pfft, never happen." And you might be right. But ethically, I feel like I have to do it this way at this stage of my life because it's my first step forward. It's my first approach. I mentioned earlier when we were offline and talking about video games, how I usually create a character and I play it like me, or I
Mhm.
make the choices that I would make if I was in some crazy, zombie apocalypse situation or whatever. Because ethics are pretty much out the door. It's a zombie apocalypse,
Mhm.
you know? I just know ethically how I would handle myself. I probably end up getting killed and, well, there's no respawn, but I just know how I am. And I'm gonna try and make this movie the same way.
There you go. You need to be a sorry, just break for 1 second. You need a T-shirt for that zombie apocalypse that says, "At least I was ethical about it."
Yeah, that's right.
As
Ethical
as
zombie
as you
killing.
meander by.
I actually wanted to get a T-shirt that said, like sort of like death metal writing, but it would say
Yeah,
psychotic, and then
yeah.
in glitter I would spell role model. So psychotic role model. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna do some things in this film that a lot of films don't do, and sure, I'm a little clever. There's a twist. There's always a twist, but
Yeah.
I will say, then this is from one of my actors who read for it. I've been casting for almost a year. I've been so quiet about it. And
Mhm.
it's the hardest thing, but now, of course, it's now public.
Yeah.
I can talk about it. And actually, this is the first place I'm saying any of this stuff. Yeah, for a year, and like 8 months ago, we shot The Legend of Joseph Goody. We're just editing it together now, and that's going to be
Mhm.
offered as a perk, as sort of a
Yep.
little sneak peek for everybody on the Indiegogo. And then afterwards, it'll get released to the public somehow, whether it's a distributor who wants it as a special feature,
Mhm.
or we just put it out as promo, or it gets edited into the final film. Who knows? But it really comes down to how comfortable we are with the material and how it blends together. And like I said, I spent so much time. I brought in a brand new DOP. His name is
Right.
Alex Perrotin,
Okay.
and he is spectacular. He was recommended to us by Jonah Bulami, who is phenomenal on his own right. But he's just not into horror as much. I would have like he's a very good friend, and of course,
Mhm.
but he said, I'm not really into it, but I have a guy who loves it. And of course, the guy was Alex. And Alex and I met. He didn't really have anything much to show me at the time because he had not been given that job or get that opportunity. And I'm all about that. I'm brought in people who maybe didn't get a chance to make special effects makeup because, well, they were really good at script supervisor. So that's the job they ended up doing for the next, 10 movies. And Ottawa is
Mhm.
very focused like that for our, our TV movie industry here and our
Yeah.
Hallmark industry. Like we're, get the best people for the best job. They're really good at it. So hire them for that again because they're good at it. And I understand it. But if their passion isn't doing that, you got to step into the indie world. And the one thing that I was excited about when I decided to basically live like a starving artist was, I mean, like I said, I had 3 years of work lined up. I said no. I, I said no. I said fuck it. I'm gonna make my. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to swear. I said
No, it's okay.
cut around it.
Got it.
I said, screw it. I'm going to make my own. I'm going to be. I'm going to put the effort into my own dream. And as I said earlier, I've been very lucky, but a lot of that luck I made and put myself into the situations or put in work in another place and earned it and was asked to join, other productions. And I built a reputation for whatever that is. And, I did it when I was a musician. We toured, we videos, all that stuff, but we ran it very professionally and we ran it very straightforward. And that's the trick. A lot of amateur filmmakers, they don't really run it professionally. They run it loosey goosey. And
Mhm.
you want everybody to have fun, but I'm a big believer that we have fun in the planning, but when it's business time, it's time to lock it down and it's time to get it in front of the lens. And if we get
Okay.
time and magic happens on the day, which of course,
Mhm.
it always does, somebody will go, what if she said this? And you go,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Ooh.
Why don't we record that? But what I try to do is get the basis of what we planned to shoot And then if we can get that in a fast amount of time by basically throwing time at it. Everybody knows
Yeah.
the triangle: time, money, and quality. You can only have 2, right?
Yes, I'm very aware of the magic triangle when I did my first feature film.
Yep.
Just
Basically,
I
I'm
I
throwing time
didn't
at it.
I did not throw a lot of time at it. I did mine in 4 days, so
Oof. Well, the actual filming, we're gonna have hopefully organized down to a reasonable amount of days
yeah.
where, I can afford to pay people. Because right now it's looking like I'm gonna need about 15 grand just to pay a very, very small amount
Mhm,
to cast and crew. I'd need another 15K to give them that same, very small amount,
mhm,
because I believe, and again, this is the ethics thing, um, the people who are making the movie with you work just as hard, if not harder, than the talent. Now, the talent has to embody and be the thing. We have to capture that. The person who works the most is usually the director and the writer, in tandem. Well, I'm both, double
mhm.
job.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what? I chose this work. I'm okay with it. But I feel like, because I've helped make everyone else's films, and, I've helped them get their, things over the finish line, or I've pulled some strings here and there and made some things happen for people. Um, I feel like it's okay to say it's my time.
Mhm,
I think it's fair for me to say I'm allowed to put effort into myself this time. And that's what I'm trying to do. And there's been a few people who've stepped up and said, you know what? I'm going to be there for you. Um, I had a friend who immigrated here from the United States, from Detroit, and they became Canadian. And they started a restaurant and they started a couple of things, and they were in the music business. That's when I met him years ago. And now he's a bit older and a bit wiser, and he's been through a few things. And he started up his own coffee roastery.
alright.
Now, I have a few friends. I have friends who run Deadly Grounds, who, have cafe out in Cortese and a cafe now in Carlton Place. It's coffee to die for. It's not a plug. It's really fucking good. Even though that's the slogan. Um, and I love the people who put that effort into the sort of horror and, thing. But while my friend is not that, he is the King's Fusion coffee, TKF coffee.
Uh-huh,
Um, he's like doing it himself. He's working, trying to make it happen. He's at farmers markets selling cups of coffee, the whole bit. I mentioned, yeah, I'm trying to get this thing off the ground. Not even a second of hesitation. He said, man, I've got your coffee for you and the crew.
nice.
My friend who owns Deadly Grounds might be a little, ooh, wow, you should have let me know. I would have set you up, because he also sponsored the old zombie walk, which I also ran back in the day.
Mhm,
Um, you know, he's been more than generous, but I don't want to ask. I don't want to ask anything. And my friend knows this of me. His name is Leroy. He's a chef, Chef Leroy.
mhm.
He um he literally just was like, "I'm there. I'm going to give you coffee." I didn't even finish the sentence. And to see that kind of help, I'm even going to maybe put you on the spot. You're one of the first people who came forward and said, "You know what? I got a little show. Come on. We'll see what happens." You know?
Mm,
So it really means a lot to me that the community that we've managed to build in this area is, people are coming out of the woodwork and saying, "Hey man, how can I be involved?" And I get that everybody wants to work on it, and man, if I had money I would hire you all. I don't have a ton. I'm going to hire a couple, but I have to make sure that I have that money, because I just can't ethically ask you to come onto set and then just go, "Hey, sorry, here's some pizza." I'm not going to do that.
I don't
You know what I
know,
mean?
pizza's pretty good.
I mean, it's
Like,
good pizza.
how many sets have you been to where they give you pizza? Like, I usually, like, did, like, Subway sandwiches just because it was
All of them. I'm not kidding, because the sets that I've worked on over the years are usually a 14 to 16-hour day.
okay.
Um, I'm glad that the union is fighting for safer. and turnaround and better turnaround for crews. I think that's all good news. However, a lot of companies don't follow those rules, and they push and they make people do 15, 16, 17 hours, and then an hour drive in and an hour drive back, and then they wait until 3 in the morning to send out the call sheet, which has a call time of 6 a.m. How are you supposed to live in that kind of situation? And a lot of
That
people
I
do it,
don't
and
know.
I tip my hat to them. I uh, I don't want to do that to people. I don't want to take advantage. I don't want to push. I just want to make something cool, and I want to make something good, and I want to make something very personal. And this movie is exceptionally personal to me. No, I didn't go on a murder spree yet,
Yeah.
but I every single character has a maybe a smattering of my personality in each one. Uh, they're all interesting. The younger actor, well, everybody's younger than me. I'm old as dirt now, but my one of my young actors said to me, "I love this script. It's like Halloween. They're younger. They mean the old. They mean the new one. They don't mean the old one.
Okay.
But it's kind of like Halloween, but with like the Breakfast Club in it." And I went, "What?" She said, "Just wait. I'll explain." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm kind of because there's no Molly Ringwald. Nobody's showing panties from a nerd. You know, nobody's doing that. There's no weird rapey scenes in it because if you watch that movie today, you're like, that guy just gave that other dude his girlfriend and she's passed out. Don't do that. That's just drive her home. Don't be that guy.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah, yeah.
movies from the 80s, right? But um
Yeah, all
so I
those
was
old
confused. I'm like,
movies.
how are you talking about the Breakfast Club? And she said, well, nobody's really what they seem. And I went, okay, fair, right?
Yeah,
So hearing that from somebody who is in the movie now and that they just 100% completely got it, right?
yeah,
It gave me the hope that I was on the right track. Because when you're crafting a script, it's like putting together a computer, you know? You have to make sure you have
yeah,
the hard drive, you have to make sure you have the RAM, you gotta make sure you have all the connectors, you know? And that's really the rub, because if something doesn't work, you know you haven't connected something.
yeah, and then you press it on, you hope it posts.
You hope. But, on the plus side, from a technical standpoint, which is, um, the great equalizer in independent film, technology.
Mhm.
It's sitting right there, man. It's sitting right there. They shot a whole
Yeah,
movie on an iPhone.
yeah,
I think the best quote I ever heard, and, I'm gonna have to attribute this to Adrian Langley again. Sounds like I'm his fanboy at this point. So but he says, "Hey, nice camera. How's the script?" He's right,
yeah, yeah,
you know? You can make an independent film, and, of course, getting back to the technical aspect, sorry, I bumped
yeah, no worries.
my camera there. Um, you can make an independent film with, a telephone, but if the writing's bad or the story's bad or it's not relatable, it's very difficult to sell it to the public, and I don't mean money-wise. I
Yeah,
mean sell it as something believable, you know what I mean?
mhm.
Like,
Well, that comment sort of reminds me of this, horror film I watched recently where it was like a found footage horror
oh,
movie,
yeah.
and it was like they're like they have all these, like, little GoPros and stuff like that, and then you're watching the footage and you're going like, "Guys, that wasn't cle that you clearly didn't use a GoPro to shoot this."
Oh,
It was
agreed.
like
I
it
think, the most interesting found footage film,
alright,
and of course, Cloverfield is spectacular.
yeah,
Um, the Blair Witch Project being the first,
yeah,
was
yeah,
literally garbage. It's hot garbage. It is just awful.
uh,
There's literally one moment in it where I go, and that's it. Everything else
yeah,
is garbage
yeah.
for me. But it's
Well,
only garbage for me because I just couldn't get invested into it. You know what I mean? Because technically,
Mhm.
It actually looked like garbage footage that they found on an old camcorder. And
Yeah.
I get that that's the gimmick, but you can't make a whole movie of that. I mean, there's so many cases of motion sickness and people freaking
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. No, I have not seen that movie because I'm like, I am going to go into the theater and I might as well bring like a bag with me, not for the
Yep.
popcorn.
If you look at found footage films though,
Yeah.
um, honestly, the greatest independent filmmaker of all time, who's unfortunately no longer with us, I managed to
Mhm.
speak to him a few times. He is definitely an influence of mine, and that would be George A. Romero. He is the creator of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
He is the creator of Dawn of the Dead, Land of the Dead, you know, all the Dead movies. And he did
Yeah.
one called Diary of the Dead, and it didn't go very well,
Okay.
money wise. I mean, he shot it independently and he did what he wanted, which means that he did what he wanted. And he took it a different way. And every once in a while, it pops out of the found footage or the filmmaker who's trying to document the events of the zombie uprising.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool idea, um, clever. And
Mhm.
so as far as found footage films go, that and there was this weird little film that I saw on, I think it was on Amazon. It was called
Mhm.
Hell House LLC. There's a couple of them, but the first one is the one that
Okay.
is I think it's clever and it's well done as far as found footage goes. But
Mhm.
overall, I find found footage a very tough thing to conquer.
Yeah. My favorite found footage video was I'm gonna hope it's right. Apollo 18.
Oh yeah.
Maybe,
Mhm.
because they did it with, they're like, here's where all the cameras would normally be set up if they were to have cameras on the
In the
spacecraft, and so
capsule, yeah.
yeah, so it ended up being like it was found footage, but like most of it was relatively static shots. Like you had a couple scenes with the astronauts, like with their cameras, but
Oh
you're
yeah.
like, yeah, this is what I would expect to see. The storyline worked well, and you didn't have that, I was gonna say Blair Witch thing where it's like I have a camera and I'm running around shaking it like a crazy person. Sure, this is found footage, but you're kind of half your audience is going to vomit, or the alternative, which is like somebody clearly used a very good camera, stabilized all this other stuff, and you're watching it going like, yeah, that's not found footage. That's literally you just filming people.
Well, really, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We're essentially looking at what we think would be a found footage vibe, but I mean, much like
Well, yeah,
much like
yeah,
prospecting for gold, you mentioned 2 instances, I mentioned 3. How
yeah,
many found footage films are there? 1,000? And 3 nuggets of gold? That's it?
yeah, yeah,
A lot of sand. There's a lot of sand. There's a lot of grit out there.
yeah,
However, no matter how terrible a movie is, I like to watch it for technical stuff.
yeah.
You'll notice, like, I have there's a movie in the back of my head right now. As soon as I think of worst movie ever made or best movie ever made, it comes into my mind because it's a mess. It is awful. But somebody lived with it for over a year because back then they only shot on film,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
somebody spent real money to get this crazy ass film made that makes zero sense, no cohesion. All of a sudden, you literally go, wait, what? Every few minutes because something pops up. But we have it on video. We make a point of dragging it out every year or two and we watch it again with friends and we have a blast. It's one of those terrible movies that you watch with your friends. And it's not that it's a good movie and it's not that it's a bad movie. It's a movie that, despite what it is, still is actually pretty entertaining. Um, and
Is
from a
it The
technical
Room?
standpoint, sorry? No, it's not The Room. The Room is garbage. It's hot garbage. It's a bad filmmaker getting lucky because he's so bad he's good, right? That's a fluke. The Room is the only thing you're ever going to hear about that guy, except for maybe the odd temper tantrum he throws in public. So, I feel bad for that guy in a way, but he was at least smart enough to embrace the badness of it.
Yeah.
So, The movie I'm talking about is this terrible movie called Hard Rock Zombies. If I can summarize, a heavy metal band bus breaks down. They stay at a groupie's house who randomly dances in spandex on the streets, not for any reason, just does. They
Okay.
have a midget butler. I know midget is not the proper term, but back then it was. So
Yeah.
therefore, I'm using it in context of the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to malign, but that sort of vibe gives off that 70s House of a Thousand tortured cannibal women or something. That you kind of go, oh, okay. They of course they have a dwarf butler.
Hmm.
There's a grandmother to the dancing rock chick, who's a werewolf. I am not kidding. Um, then, while they're staying at this house, the lead singer, who is also the bass player, manages to stumble upon the bass line that raises the dead. I didn't know it was a thing, but apparently it's a thing. So he squashes a spider, plays the bass line, and gets back up and starts walking towards him. So you know, it's brilliant. Of course, you're a heavy metal band. So what do you do with the bass line that raises the dead? You record a song with it, of course.
Of course.
The heavy metal band gets back on the bus, finally fixed, goes to drive away and crashes and promptly dies. Aw.
Very sad.
Dancing chick, of course, saves them, puts them in the ground, and plays their last known recording, which brings them back to dead as what's the name of that band from the 90s? I think it's My Chemical Romance. They look like Sergeant Pepper with the jackets and stuff. They dig
Yeah.
themselves out and they play a concert. I don't know what's happening. Oh, and meanwhile, the grandfather who's married to the werewolf grandmother is Hitler. Yeah, I just said it.
Okay.
No, he's actual Hitler. So he basically rounds up the town and he's going to gas them all because he's Hitler. And the band comes back to save the town as hard rock zombies. I won't spoil the ending for you because if you make it that far, but the lesson is actually what's important here. While that insanity is spectacular and terrible, trust me, it's it's a labor of love. Somebody loved this crazy ass movie. And I don't have any other way to describe it as the worst and best movie I've ever seen, because somebody loved it and somebody got it over the finish line. And that's what I'm trying to do to bring it all full circle
Yeah.
about what I'm trying to craft. And the thing that's giving me that advantage is technology. I was, I'm old. So I got through the video stance, I got through the film cameras, I got to this film. I think we're going to go with Black Magic and we're going to
Okay.
work in B-Raw. We've been playing a lot with the Black Magic software, DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci Resolve. Yeah.
We just love it. Bought the full version. We're
Hmm.
installing it on mine soon, but right now it's at our studio. I'm working with my producing partner, who is my partner in what we call Null and Void Media.
Okay.
The reason why it's called Null and Void is because I came upon a thing. Back in the days of the band, I had an ego. Everybody's telling me how awesome I sing and how great I
Hmm.
am and all this other bullshit that's just not true. I mean, to them, I was a good singer. Great. I love that. I'm not insulting their taste or anything, but there's a million people who do what I do.
Hmm.
It's just, it mattered to them. So that's important. So having the ego to not take it as smoke being blown up my butt and not think that I'm great because I'm trying to do things. And I got a lot of people coming out of the woodwork. They're asking me for jobs, they're asking me for work, they want to be involved. Some people just want to come on and get some experience. And that's I encourage that, not only because yes, it's free essentially, but I mean it's obviously, food and I'm always gonna get
It's
them
that
there.
pizza. It's the
That
pizza.
pizza, yeah, yeah. No, I cook. We make real food. My wife also bakes from scratch. Like she's spectacular. If it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be able to do this because she and I had the discussion after that revelation. She said, if you're going to do it, let's do it. So, past couple of years, building, building, building.
Mhm.
I have a gear room. Technically, it's the opposite. It's this way because of the camera, but that's pointing towards the window, but it's that way. Um, the gear room that I have now, and I have shelves. I have stuff on them. It's so crazy. You know, 1 month maybe I can afford an extra $200 and I'll buy a C stand or I'll stick a light panel in a bag and throw it on my shelf.
No.
Now I have 5 light panels. 2 of them are effect ones that I can program, and I can get television and firings and all kinds of stuff. And I can set them for regular, 32, 56 K, K
Yeah,
lights.
yeah,
I've got a couple of straight up panels. I've got soft boxes that I've managed to get. But again, 2 years plus
yeah.
in building and building and building and building. And finding like-minded people who will love this film the way I love it. I know nobody will the way I do,
Mhm.
but they're going to love their portion of it. And that's the joy I found with the DOP and Alex Perot, who shot the short, and we've done a couple shorts. Technically, we didn't go out to shoot them as shorts. We went out to technically shoot them as a camera test.
Yeah.
But I figured we're here.
Two birds, one stone.
We got the footage. We got the actors. Let's just shoot something. So I wrote a little thing called The Wall, which, if we can pull it off, we'll probably offer to the people who invest, as well as at least for a week or two, so that they get to see it early. Just
Mhm.
something that we threw together with a bunch of the actors who we're working with and a couple of extra people who we couldn't bring into the film, but we wanted to, they read for it or something, and I want to reward that. They gave me the most valuable thing that really, I mean, obviously I'm gonna, I can dance around it all I want. Yes, I want your money, but I also want your efforts. Yes, I want you to come out. The most valuable thing, though, that anyone can give you is really the only 2 things that anybody actually has, and you can devalue them both. So, stepping onto a little philosophy box here, I'll just say it. You own 2 things in the world, and they're only as valuable as you make them. Number 1 is your time. You don't know how much you have, and you don't know how much you're going to get. You're going to get a lifetime. That's what you're going to get. That could be 5 minutes. That could be 50 years. That could be 100 years. I hope it's 100 years for everybody. And I hope everybody goes peacefully in their sleep. But realistically, that's just not the world. So make your time worthwhile to you, because really that's the only person who cares. And I don't mean to sound cynical. I'm saying that you need to love yourself. You need to find yourself and the things that you love. And it took me a long time, man. I tried for 13 years to be a tech. I tried to run a help desk for a company that I helped build from the ground up. It's still running today. I won't say the name. I helped build it. I helped put it where it is. And I'm super proud of that. I'll never go in there again because it nearly broke my brain. I was not being creative. I was not working with what I wanted. What I was trying to do was fit in.
Mhm.
I mean, you see the hair, right? I'm an old guy with a mohawk. What the hell's wrong with me, right? I'm a creative. So, as a creative and having some technical knowledge, I want to combine those things, get ourselves a good workflow, find the things that are going to work within my non existent budget, which is really the point and kind of the advice that I can offer. That second thing that you own is your word. Now, that has no value if you make it so. I, however, have managed to be, like I said, very lucky and straightforward. Um, a wise man once said, do what you say what you mean. Yeah, I just quoted One Thing Leads to Another by The Fix. Google it.
I
It's
was gonna say,
catchy as
is it
hell.
Gandhi or is it like that rubber guy?
Nope.
I can't remember what he's
No, it's The Fix. Reach the Beach is
like.
the album. It's catchy, it's poppy, it's goofy. However, it has a message.
Yep.
Do what you say what you mean. And that puts value on that only other thing you own, which is your word. If you can manage to keep those things in good standing, then you attract like people.
Mhm.
And I like I said, with this film, with the year, I mean, a year. I've kept actors quiet for a year. It's insane. It should not even work. There's everything should be out there by now in the world of the internet. But here we are, keeping it under wraps, making sure it's fun, making sure that we're, making perks that are going to be fun and valid and entertaining for not only the people. We've got a couple surprises coming.
Yeah.
Make sure you check back pretty often. If you can check the updates on
I
the
I I I
Indiegogo.
I think the current status is Nelly is currently living.
So far, yes, that was a, you know what? Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
This is a
so
technical aspect of the film. I mean, this is literally film fucking changing. And yes, I swore, and I don't give a shit. I'm telling you, man.
you're like,
Right now,
"They
she's
she was gonna
living.
die in the first 5 minutes,
Here's
now
the
what I'm
thing.
gonna do with her?"
Nobody actually knows because they haven't seen the script, except for the
Yeah.
people who are in the movie, what is written for Nelly. Nelly, if I were to give her a role in the film without giving anything away, to me, her character feels like the heart. You know, Nelly is a part of my personality that's crazily introverted, which, look at me. Do I look introverted to you? And
Not
knowing
at
that
this
I'm a big
exact
mouth,
moment.
right? So
I'm introverted as well, and I'm running a YouTube channel, so I understand you where it's like and then after that, it's like, I don't wanna talk to anyone for, like, the next
it's
4
true.
days.
It's absolutely true. I'm exceptionally flamboyant and loud and boisterous, and I love to entertain people. But this film is going to tackle some things and expose some personal stuff that I haven't really told the entire world. I have a whole section in there about mental health, where I get to say something. And in every single film I make, even the little ones, even the stupid ones, I made one about killing people with a toaster. Yeah, I'm not kidding. A haunted toaster. It's called The Greatest Thing Since. It's on my YouTube. Check it out.
There you
It's
go.
dumb, but it's fun. Uh, it's it's about putting passion into the project. It's about putting your word and saying, right now my word has been made to myself. I want to make this film. The world can change tomorrow. I could get hit by a bus. I mean, it's horrible to say, but it's reality, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that that's a reality is tough because it would break my heart to break my word to not only the world by saying, hey, I'm making this film if you help me, and I'm going to make it anyway, hopefully. Knock wood. Uh, it's very difficult to come to terms with the fact that I might break my own word, and I can't do that ethically, you know.
Mhm.
But again, coming back to how it's actually within reach is having some tech background. And by the way, if you're a filmmaker and you're watching this and go, well, yeah, that guy can talk about it. He knows tech. He's old. He learned all this shit. I don't know shit. You're right. I did. It's called putting in the work. And
Mhm.
when you carry the world's information in your back pocket, ignorance is
Yeah.
just a choice. So try to understand that the things that you want to learn, you can learn. Obviously, we're not, plugged into the matrix and can't go, I need to know how to do kung fu.
Yeah,
That'd be
I'd like to
awesome.
be able to fly a helicopter tomorrow, please.
That's right. Let's fly a helicopter. Let's just do it. But I mean, that iceberg thing that I was talking about, all that work that's underneath, every
Yeah.
single day I'm freaking out or doing something about the film. And right now, of course, it's about getting the word out. And if we can fool all the algorithms around the world, I don't become, gridlocked into any particular system. I'm doing that right now. I've got friends in Australia who've already shared it in Australia. So there's that. I just had Finland this morning. Uh, the Netherlands have shared it. Um, we'll see about what happens in the next little bit because there is a girl who is in my short film. who just shared the teaser today. She's featured in it, of course. So it's
Mm,
content for hers. And she has a very large TikTok and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So she's sharing it out today. And then, of course, we'll have eventually Michael, you know, he's going to share it. He's shared it on his Facebook in a couple places, but, he's trying to do his own work. So having him promote my movie for free is, asking a little much, but he would. That's the crazy part. The people who are
yeah,
doing this, when I say this is a labor of love for me, it's obvious. It's obvious. You can
yeah.
see it in my face. It's something that I've been
I can see it
working.
in your face, and like I know some of these people that are helping you out. Like I've seen it on like we know a lot of people like how do I say it? We know a lot
In
of people that in common.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go. And like I can tell you right now that I've seen the slasher film posted so many times on Facebook feed.
it's
I'm like
humbling, by the way.
it
It's
it,
humbling.
it
It
it's
really
like,
is.
oh yes, yes, I got to remember to give Kevin a shout to, you know, do this stream and talk to him about his movie and how passionate he's about it. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta remember to send out a message. And I send out a message. I'm like, okay, follow up. Hey, then plan it and stuff like that. And it's like, I keep seeing, I'm like, yep, just remember to get that done. And here we are doing it. And then everyone will, I guess, probably Saturday see it again going because I'll post my thing and say, hey, I talked to Kevin for like an hour
Yeah.
and is it an hour? Yeah, we're almost
He
at an
wouldn't
hour.
shut up.
He wouldn't stop talking, and I
He
had to
just
keep
wouldn't stop.
recording because I was just like, "Be nice, be kind." No, I'm just kidding.
I said I invited him. Why did
I
I invite
invited him.
this guy? I
It's
mean, it's Halloween. Let's call it me possessing your stream.
Ooh. But
Anyway,
yeah, no, like it's
sorry.
one of those things where it's like for people who are watching this and have made it this far, one, please consider donating, but also like realize that part of the reason this is all happening is because Kevin is that good a guy, and everyone
Mm.
is just out there saying we're gonna help him to make this as possible as we can without going and breaking piggy banks and being like, here's our life. Although, to be honest, a lot of people are actually donating to you as well. So,
Yeah,
we're up
absolutely. And
quite a bit now. Like, I don't know what the number is, but
I'm not sure
like,
yet. I got to be honest. If I look at it all the time, I stress myself out.
yeah,
Um,
I can
but there's
understand that
but
one.
there's some really cool stuff coming up. I mean, I'll give you like a teeny like on the horizon. I'm been very lucky. There is a person right now in a contest. They're attempting to win the Face of Horror for this year.
Okay.
It's a contest. They're daily votes, that kind of thing. It's this girl
Yeah.
Mallory Collins. She actually makes this wonderful. I met her at horror conventions, and she makes teddy bears. She sits down, watches movies, crochets teddy bears with Jason masks and Freddy sweaters, and they're amazing. They're super cute. They're super soft. They're not inexpensive, but it's
Yeah.
literally hand done, and you can
Yeah.
see the work, and it's spectacular. And I've had her as a neighbor,
Mhm.
like I think 3 or 4 shows in a row, and we get along really well. We go out to dinner and hang out, and everybody gets along in our whole social circle. So, and she's been doing the social media thing, trying to get votes.
Mhm.
She's in first as of right this second. I'm hoping that by the time this airs, she's won. But if she wins, she's the face of horror, and she
Yeah.
wants to take the audience and tell them about my film.
Nice.
It's so
This is Kevin
amazing.
Preece, and he's now famous, and everyone's gonna watch this video 10 years later and be like, "Oh, look at how humble beginning." No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? If it happens and I'm
It
still
has.
alive, um, I will look up back on this as being one of the greatest and most terrifying moments in my entire life. And I've been blessed by being able to create something that other people enjoy in music and in
Mhm.
film and, well, in art, right? I've been very lucky and very fortunate. And, other people, well, you got talent. Yeah. Okay, great. But talent is only going to get you so far if you don't have an audience, right?
Mhm.
We're kind of in this together. And again, why I chose the name Null and Void Media is, for my company, is simple. I accepted eventually that I was nothing, and that's a hard thing to admit. You're nothing because outside of, these four walls, maybe nobody knows you yet, but they will. And they're going to get to know you, and they'll get to know you through your work, or they'll get to know you through the thing you love to do. Or, maybe you cook really well. Maybe you sew. Maybe you create costumes. Maybe you shoot film. Maybe you're really good at lights and grip. Maybe that's your talent and your skill. And these are all art. And I see these guys, who are hauling lights up and C stands and flags and, all this crazy gear that I can barely lift because I'm old and I got bad shoulders. But the respect for those guys who just know their stuff, if I can just let them shine, you know, and actually make a fucking movie as a team, you know what I mean? Instead of a hire on.
Mhm.
That's what I want. I might get to a point where, maybe I'll get a bunch of money and, everybody will see this and go, you know what? I'm going to give that guy $20. And if everybody give me $20, it'd be awesome because I'd have the full budget. And then when, money comes in down the road, I can actually, pay my mortgage. But it's it's humbling because when you can accept your nothing, you can make anything. And that's what I'm trying to do.
That's a poignant point.
So, you got some questions about technical aspects, or are we just running the time like crazy
We're
here?
we're just going crazy on this. I had no idea where this was gonna go, and everything you said, I'm like, I really like it, so I'm just gonna let him say it.
Well, I'm sorry if I took
The
over, but
technical parts of the movie, by the way, is that it's gonna be probably filmed on a Blackmagic, edited on DaVinci Resolve, and um, light panels. Lots
yeah,
and lots of light panels.
I've got a 5-point system now and a couple of light bars, and of course,
Right.
the credit card lights that everybody likes to use, and
The credit
the
card lights. Oh,
special bulbs. Yeah, the
hang
little
on. You mean the little ones that companies keep sending me?
those are the ones probably.
I
I
probably have
actually
one of them
bought
ones.
I bought a bunch of semi-pro gear from Newer, a good budget product that can give you some results for pro level look. So, filmmakers who are looking to save a little bit of money, Newer
These are
is
credit card lights.
a great place. Yeah, the credit card lights,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah, I have companies, like, they keep sending me, like, 4 or 5 of these things, and they're like, "Review them." I'm like, "Okay."
Well, if you
They're
wanna
they're
send
nice.
some my way, I can use them in the movie.
Yeah, if you need some, let me know. I've got I think I've got 9 or 10 or 11 of them now.
I would like to purchase 4 of them from you. We'll talk afterwards.
Okay.
But, technical stuff, I mean, we can talk gear till the cows come home,
Yeah.
but realistically, I think the things that are important, and here's where I'm gonna get a little more technical because this is sort of my area, that I've been working on other people's films lately,
Mhm.
is sound.
Yeah.
You can forgive a bad movie. I mean, Hard Rock Zombies looks like crap, but
Yeah.
man, does it sound good. You know?
Yeah, sound, I think, is one of the
One thing you can't forgive.
yeah, yeah.
So if I
You
was
need to
to
spend
give
money on it.
any, indie filmmaker who's watching this or, any technical person who's, passing advice to somebody who will actually listen to them,
Mhm.
um, spend something to get decent sound. You don't have to spend $1 million. Zoom makes a very affordable product. The H6 is a perfect sort of level of, product that you can record some good quality sound. We actually went to the F6 recently.
Yeah.
We love it. We love it. It's with a 32-bit floating noise floor. It is almost impossible to peak the program. You can peak the mic, but you
Yeah,
can't peak
yeah,
the program.
yeah, yeah.
So it's really cool. That 32-bit floating is great tech, and the Wireless Go 2 by Rode.
Right.
Um, they
And they just
are
came out with the wireless Go Pros.
exactly, and that's kind
which
of the
is kind of
step up.
odd because it now says Go Pro, but
I know, yeah. I actually sent some suggestions in because they have this great app that you can pop onto an iPad or a tablet or whatever. Well,
yeah,
usually an iPad,
yeah,
um, because it holds charge much longer and that sort of thing. But
yeah,
you can, use it as a controller, a full mixer, just, on the thing, and it'll control most aspects. What's really cool is when you blow, you can actually name the takes. So you can literally say, "Scene 1, take 4."
yeah,
And it's just
which is
advance, advance, advance. When you switch scenes, you've got to go in and change the metadata, but
yeah,
it's literally just a naming convention. So you can control that. And say you blow a take, you can literally just go click, click, false. You can literally go false take, move it, and it's gone. It's in a separate folder. It's not
yeah,
gone forever, but it's out of your way so that when you go looking through false takes to go, there's about half of that I could have used. Maybe, if you're in an emergency kind of thing. And the other thing
yeah,
that's really cool is what I love about them is the actual units can be programmed to record all the time, which
yeah,
means if you lose dialogue, if you set the time on it to time of day and you set the
mhm,
camera to time of day, all you need to do is line up the time of day with what's being said, drag the timeline to that time, and you have a backup.
yeah,
If they walk out of range, their unit keeps recording. It's wonderful.
yeah, yeah. No, that's it's a nice feature that I think is how do I say this? It's a very nice feature. I got mics that don't have it, but then I'm usually just recording like to the camera directly.
Right.
But like I see that and I'm like, that's like if I was doing something and I had like actors in front, I could definitely see using those microphones and stuff where it's like you pop it on them, you hit record or it has it recording, and you're like, you can do whatever you want today. We're gonna record stuff, but at the very least, I know I think it's like an 8 hour record time on those things of just
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
spectacular. They are a couple of my favorite, but I have learned to deal with, they do run over Wi-Fi, so that can be a
yeah,
challenge. And we were at the Diefenbunker and
oh
reflection.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, but I bought this crazy little microphone by Cinco. It's
okay,
an Asian knockoff. They're not the greatest in the world, but if you
mhm,
look at the technical specs, they're exactly the same as the Shure shotgun mic. It's
yeah,
spectacular. They're like, because I was the singer in the
yeah,
band, I always look at the cardioid, how it receives the sound. I look at the technical drive. I look at the noise floor of what dB it clips, what dB it clips out at,
yeah,
where the lowest point of range is. Plus, if it's omnidirectional or can be set to be just directional, I
yeah,
like to be able to control these things. If it has phantom power, I want to know. If not, I have a phantom power unit that I can hook up to the boom. I've literally walked around with the whole unit on the boom because I had a
okay,
holder. I called it just zoom on a boom. Away we went.
right,
Not on the F6, but that this is previously on other movies. I did sound for a movie that's coming out called White Trash. I can't tell you any details past that because, well,
yeah,
NDA, but
yeah,
uh, it's got worldwide distribution. So my sound is not terrible. No matter, I remember I was at one shoot. It's for another film that's I can't talk about, but
yeah,
it I did sound for it as well as worked in the production end. Um, it had a different person, I won't say what their title or anything was, on set, who basically saw what I was unpacking and went, "What's that?" I went,
yeah,
"Oh, it's Cinco, it's brass, and it does this and it does that." He goes, "It's not very expensive." I went, No, no, it's not, but it's good." And they kind of criticized and sort of sneered a little bit and looked down on their nose. And I said, "Well, I mean, it's recorded 2 movies that have got worldwide distribution. Has your microphone recorded anything for worldwide distribution?" That ended the conversation pretty quickly.
yeah. That
But, I
definitely
mean,
does.
there's a lot of gear snobs out there and technical. I mean, we're talking on a technical podcast, so you guys
Yeah.
know, and if you don't know a gear snob, it's you. But,
Oh, oh,
however,
yeah. It's
I
it's the
mean,
people who go and they check what was was it the Academy, camera list where they list
Oh,
all the
yeah, or the
cameras and, like
Netflix approved
yeah,
list? Oh,
yeah, the
I had
Netflix approved list and stuff like that, and you look at it and you're like, "Yeah, if you wanna hit something on the bottom end, I can understand you want a good camera," but, like, I've met some people where when I was filming some stuff way back in the day, they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna be filming on, like, an Arri or something else," or it's like, I guess Red. Red was big back in those days,
oh, yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
yeah, I
was like
remember.
I'm like, "No, I'm not filming on a Red, I was filming on a Sony," and they're like, "Oh, well, it's Sony, it's not gonna be that
Well,
good."
the
I'm
Sony
just
F6 is fucking great. Pardon me.
Oh, no, no, I know, but we're talking back, like, Sony FS700 days,
Oh,
so
yeah, and that's all good.
FS100, like, I still own that camera, it's a great camera, it does a great job, it's just, you sit there and you go
There's always
like,
bells and whistles, but I
"Oh,
mean,
there's
that's
always
one
bells and whistles," but back then, Sony wasn't as big as they are now, where now they're like, "Oh my goodness," one of these films were filmed on, like, a Sony F6 or something like that, or F3,
I
and
think
everyone's
what
like
happened is that the camera guys who got really into the tech, they got really mad because, well, they spent 30 or 40 or
yeah,
$80,000 on a camera, and now somebody who spends less than $1,000 can get the same look with a LUT. And I'm
yeah,
sorry, people, "Oh, no, you can't do it." I've literally seen some an editor go, "Love this footage. It's so beautiful." You can always tell an Arri, and I know for a fact that the filmmaker used a LUT,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
got it
well,
on
it's
black
it's I think right now there's a
'cause I was there.
democracy coming with filmmaking. Like I'm looking at it right now with the Cine lenses, versus like there's the photo lenses, which are like um,
Yeah.
not quite this lens. This is kind of a hybrid lens I'm using right now, but like it's set up as a photo lens, but it also has like a cinema brother, which
Oh,
is like
yeah, for sure, for
it
sure.
actually
I've
comes.
got, old Nikon glass in
Yeah,
my lens kit. Now,
yeah,
I have the old Nikon glass because it's a beautiful set of glass. It
old Nikon
looks
glass.
it looks good. It's just,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna buy a plastic 50 to shoot a film on. I mean, it's
yeah,
fine for taking stills, and it's fine for shooting video. I mean, if you're doing a conference or something, it's fine.
yeah.
But
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was just thinking
Oh,
for film, though, you wanna try to get I believe, the best thing I ever heard was all glass, no ass. The back of the camera doesn't really matter. I
well,
thought that
yeah.
was that was a good rhyme. I can't remember who said that. It was probably Adrian again, but, me probably.
We're just gonna
But
credit
he
everything
says
that you
funny
say
stuff.
that's intelligent to Adrian, and that'll be no, I'm just
It
kidding.
it I don't know. I don't know if he said that, but I remember hearing it and laughing, and,
Yeah,
it's one of those sort of, things that stick out in my brain. I've been in the ooh, again, we're getting personal again, but I've been
mhm,
in the class struggle life for pretty much since I was a child. We were the poor family in town. The church would bring us clothes.
mhm,
They'd send me to camp, church camp, of
yeah,
course. Maybe that explains the mohawk. Anyway, uh, but we were not the well-off family. We got a lot of flack for that in a small town. However, I went back to that same small town, turned it into something, and we made butchers, right?
yeah,
So I was raised in Merrickville, and we shot in the Merrickville-Kitley area. So it was very cool to be able to make something that did so well in a place that I felt smothered and difficult in, but it finally came to terms with, from a personal standpoint,
yeah,
and realized that it's the best option. People want to be in movies, they want to get involved, they want to help. Whether they can, some people, they can't help, they make cookies and drop them off at set. That's helping. you
yeah,
know my buddy who doesn't do film, but gave me a bunch of coffee, like TKF. TKF coffee gave me a bunch of coffee. They didn't have to do that. Nobody has to do anything. I would love it if you do, obviously, but I get it. you know Even somebody just clicking share, when I see it shared, and this is the thing that kind of stresses me out because
mhm,
ADHD, right? I see a link, it'll say I'm tagged in it. I can't seem to open it. It doesn't show me because of the way I have my settings, because I don't want to get notified every 5 minutes.
yeah,
I don't spend a lot of time doing social media, even though you would think I do, because I'm on it every day. I'm on it every day,
yeah,
hours and hours and hours at a time, just trying to get awareness. Because after a few months, or after a couple of weeks, the things I posted at the beginning will start to permeate out because the algorithm will release it into the wild. It'll be
Yeah.
too late, but of course, I was smart enough to make it a longer term on the fundraiser. So we have, like I said, about maybe a month left, but you know, it's a push. So that's what we do. And I'm
Mm,
pushing now. I'm even, I seem to have come back to the fundraiser again. So,
that's okay.
but
That's
we at
why
least
we're
we got some
making this
technical talk.
video.
We did get some tech talk in.
Yeah, we did get some tech talk in, which is good. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the audio though that I've managed to sort of focus on brings me back to that point I was making. Independent filmmakers spend time on audio. Spend time to learn how to, even because it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing in the world. It
Yeah.
really doesn't. And all of those products that I mentioned are a good pro level quality at
Mhm.
a more affordable budget point for, us indies.
Well, that's kind of the thing with the gear now. It's like you can get such good gear right now, and I sort of say in that sort of sub 1,000, sub 2,000
Oh
range.
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
it's a concept of like you're looking at saying, "Oh, I have a audio budget." Well, if you have $2,000 and you've been doing this for a while, like you have, it's not. I'm not going to say go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff, but you can go out and get like the one or two items that you need to fit out your set, and you're looking at stuff like it costs like maybe $300, $400 for the microphones that you mentioned, or maybe that F6, or I think
Oh,
they even have a like
it
F8.
wasn't
It's like
overnight. It
yeah,
absolutely wasn't overnight. I
yeah,
mean,
I
we
know,
had the Zoom H4n Pro.
yeah,
We didn't do
yeah,
the budget version, but
yeah,
we could have, but we did get the Pro because we were recording pro audio, so we spent the
yeah,
extra like $50. It was worth it.
yeah,
And then we went to the H6 because we needed more inputs, and we're trying to figure out how we could use some of the inputs to do creative wireless boom by hooking up a
yeah,
lav receiver on the end of the boom and a receiver on the camera, and that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
there's all these great little sneaky little tricks we tried. Some of them worked, some of them failed horribly, and that's the joy of learning the gear, right?
Yeah.
But it's cool. Like it's really fun to me. I love just playing with the gear. Like I mentioned the streaming setup. I finally got all the bits and pieces. I got a stream deck. I got a whole new thing to learn now. I'm really looking forward to it, even though it's ridiculous. You know.
They're very useful though.
Oh yeah,
And
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 the
and
cool
the and the
thing
thing
is
is, oh yeah,
those
go ahead.
macro stream decks.
Yeah.
Um, they're fantastic for editors. Just
Mhm.
a little tiny. If you want to buy for a graphics, for commands that you lose all the time in Photoshop, or you're doing your movie posters or anything like that, any sort of design,
Yeah.
the Stream Deck by Elgato is a multifunction key set. Basically, it's just basically a macro box. You can
Yeah.
push a button and it'll do things like open your Photoshop or grab your, but once Photoshop's open, it'll shift, and you can program it so that you can go, okay, I want my cutting tool. Imagine that in DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
Instead of going, okay, well, it's Command B and Command Shift B to do this, and if I want to grab that, there's always these little keyboard commands, and it's the same in Adobe Premiere, and
Yeah.
it's the same in, the any cutting program. Um, you can just set it up on the Stream Deck.
Yeah. And you have
So
it like you could put your
not
little
only for
icon on there.
stream.
Yeah. And you just press it and it does it. And it's really actually quite nice.
Oh yeah, and it's
Yeah.
very intuitive. Like it will take a bit of learning, but it does what you think it's going to do, which is what I love about it. It's a stupid like $100 thing, and there's tons of them, by the way, for you budget conscious people.
Hmm.
You go to a marketplace on a certain social media platform and just type it in, and there's a ton of streamers out there who, maybe they were influencers or whatever, and maybe they got better setups, so they're just getting rid of their old gear because they don't do like we
Uh,
do and hoard it.
I, I know of one YouTuber right now where he's been putting up a lot of good stuff for sale, and I think it's because either I think he's moving, or he's been doing it for so long. He's got so much gear. I guess he looked at a closet or a room and said,
Well,
maybe
once
I should clear this out."
you get to a certain following and people start sending you stuff to review. I
Oh yeah,
mean, I know a
yeah,
guy who does that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, companies
This
will
guy.
send you stuff, the next thing you know. Which guy?
You.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, yeah, me. Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean,
I'm
back
like,
when
"You know
I
another guy? Okay."
I know some
But yeah.
guys, but
Yeah,
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 that's
no,
my
it's
superpower, actually. That's how I think I'm gonna get this movie made. My superpower all my life, no matter what you need, no matter what you are looking for, I know a guy, right?
yeah,
So it's been my superpower. It's like, I'm looking for, the specific lens. Hold up, I know a guy who does lenses. Make a call. Boom, we have it. So, I mean, it was one of the things that helped me become a producer on Butchers, because I knew a guy. I always knew where to get whatever it was if I didn't already have it.
yeah,
We'd be out of something, and I'd be like, I know a guy, or I have some at my gear room. So I literally have grip gear, electric gear, camera gear, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff piled in there. Tons of props, lots of special effects makeup because I used to do that
yeah,
as my focus. In fact, little insider story on Butchers. I took my entire toolkit roll away makeup setup that I would bring around, had all my brushes, all my good stuff. I kept a couple of brushes that were pro level that I would use once in a while in a very small little toolbox size of stuff. I took all of it and gave it to the key makeup artist on Butchers. And I said, this is a gift. As the producer, I want you to take it and I want you to go nuts, because they were concerned that they weren't be able to get as much makeup and things like that as they felt that the film needed. I already knew I had it. So I
yeah.
brought her over. She took it home. To this day, she has about 80% of it. She actually went on, she started her own tattoo studio. But and she's gonna probably be the one who tattoos the butcher's cleaver on me.
There you go.
But you build these relationships with people in gear, right?
Mhm,
um and if you can put the tool into the hands of someone who is passionate about it, you know especially if they never got the opportunity, like a lot of the crew who are coming onto this already, who have sort of said, okay, yes, we will try and find a way to make it happen. um they're the island of misfit toys. You know what I mean?
mhm,
They're all the puzzle pieces that don't normally get to fit. um Nobody would give my DOP the opportunity to DOP because he was a camera op, so he always got that job. Well,
mhm,
I'm giving them the opportunity because I see the talent, I see the ability, I see the drive, and it's just worth it. And I've seen the results. I'm biased because it's mine, but I adore the Legend of Joseph Goody, and it has all the look and all the feel of that kind of, you feel comfortable in the film. You feel this is, and it's so odd because, and I'm not giving anything away here, but people are going to look at it and go, well, the technology is all whacked out. You remember Batman, the cartoon? You never really knew when it was set. Is it the 60s? Is it the future? What is it? Because
yeah.
everything was so weird. I mean,
Yeah, they're like
they're
all the
dressed
buildings
like,
are square boxes, but then, people had, like, not flying cars, but
yeah,
something else, and you're like, "Wait,
and
is this
blimps.
supposed?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
just hanging out in the town. And then they're all in zoot suits, but they have cell phones.
yeah.
It's just odd, right? So I decided to take a cue from that. And the only reason I get away with it is because it's an elder fellow
Mhm,
talking to a young girl about what happened in the town. And she
yeah,
tells the story of young Joseph Goody and how, the town got the reputation because of the insane asylum, and, all these terrible people who were there. Like there's like, oh, I'm saying too much, but
whoop. Bleep
there's all
that,
these stories. Well, there's
bleep
all these
that.
stories, right?
Yeah,
So they're all there, and being able to tell Joseph Goody's story in the context of a proof of concept type thing, it works because we have these old rooms with like wood paneling and stuff, but they have a flat screen TV, but a VCR, because again, it's an older person talking to a younger person. They've never seen a tube TV. They've
mhm,
never seen, but they know what a VCR is because they saw it at Nana's, you know.
yeah,
So, you know, It's so being that it's not technically a real story, it's a story being told to somebody who's younger. So every time
Mhm.
they think, "Oh, there's a TV in that room," they'd see a flat screen in their mind, right? Because 'Cause they're a
Yeah,
kid. But
that's what they
somebody
are.
who's older, like myself, and seeing the wood paneling, I'd be like, "Well, where's the big tube channel?"
Yeah.
Big tube TV, you know? So we mix a lot of the technology up. Like, there's cell phones, there's video game controllers, all that kind of stuff. It's all there, but that's because the kid thinks it's there and it's being told to the kid, and we're seeing that perspective.
Oh,
So
that sounds
that's the
really
one
good.
thing I can give away about slasher film, the perk.
Mhm.
It's not really a perk. It's the legend of one of the inmates in the asylum, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, and it's so sad. I worked with a an actor named Sharina Campo, and she's going to do a couple of like flashy back type things, in the film. But I had her play, one of the characters in the short because she doesn't make it. So I wanted to put her in the thing, and she was in another film with me, and came in and banged out a huge, excellent job as a newscaster in a dystopian future where the rich step on the neck of the poor. What a
Mhm.
surprise! It's like
Yeah.
what next week,
Yeah,
but yeah,
something like that. I was gonna say, is that, like, Monday or is that Tuesday?
yeah, no, it's a near future called Life Inc. It's on the festival circuit right now, so I haven't
Yeah.
released it publicly. But it did get into Shock Stock. It was one of the selections for Shock Stock this year, and it played to a good response. I was very happy. And then I got solicited by another festival, which should be announcing something soon. Hopefully, it'll include my name, but if it doesn't, that's the way it goes.
Yep.
So, but that short film was actually again one of those camera test, or one of those experiment type things that I'm trying to do to keep myself fresh and keep myself behind the camera and keep myself ready, primed, ready to shoot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because time in your word, right? You got to put in the
Yep.
time. You've got to do it. Give the word to yourself that it's okay to spend the time. Because your dreams only move at one speed, yours.
Yep.
And frustration is simply drive trying to find a path. And I said that. It literally is. I get frustrated constantly because I'm always getting in my own way, or money. It's always money. I mean, it's always money. Even if I had $100,000 donated tomorrow and we had the whole budget plus a little extra, all of it's going on the screen. I will buy more crew. I will buy better effects. I'll buy, maybe a little bit of gear to prop up the gear we already have. That's where the money's going. And when I say I'm being as transparent and honest as I can, I'm not even kidding. I'm just being blatantly straightforward because it's just not going to get made any other way, right?
Mhm.
Ethically, morally, for me, it has to go this way. So, I guess this is my plea out there into the internet world, give me a hand. Let me see what we can do together, because even if you give me $10 and vote to kill poor Nelly or make her live, honestly,
Poor
like,
Nelly.
I'm not kidding. Even if you do just, that, it's more than what I could wish for.
Mhm.
So I guess that's as straight as I can put it. If you
There
can
you go.
help, help. But if you can't, share. If you can, keep sharing until we get through it, and push your friends to share if they can a little bit. Because again, that friend might not have anything either. They might be trying to, save up and buy their kids shoes. I totally get it. I
Mm.
totally get it because I was that kid waiting for shoes. So, but if you can click share, maybe the person who gets it next goes, "This guy looks like he's not full of shit." Oh, I'm going to tell you, I am. I'm 100% full of shit. But we all are.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. It's been great talking to you, and by talking to you, I mean nodding a lot and going, "Mhm."
I, I want to say that while you guys tuned in for Graham's podcast, obviously you got the Kevin Preece show, and I'm very sorry for monopolizing your time. But I
Oh,
will say,
if
this
they
is,
made it
by the
this
way,
far, they don't have a problem with it.
the funny part is I've known Graham for a little while, truth be told. And Graham, has been in and around the film world, in some of the places that I've been and some of the places that I've gone. Um, I always feel like our relationship is one like, when the guy who's in your class, their older brother who was in the grade above them, and they're out of school, but you knew him, but you didn't like know him. I
Yeah,
feel like we had that for a little while, and then we met through the Digi 60,
yeah,
and we got talking about cameras, and we started a little bit about tech. And while I'm not the most technical person, there are certain aspects I get really excited about. Did you notice?
no, I
But
don't think we noticed it.
yeah, I'm sorry. But it's passion is the one thing that I will say is undeniable about you. I've never seen anybody push to be a part of a community that didn't know what to do with you initially. No, I'm not kidding. I can sit here and lie and bullshit you, but I'm just not doing that anymore. I'm just
Yeah,
not doing it. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't know what you were going to do in the film world. And then I started to see your name everywhere because
yeah, yeah. There was a good period of time when I went a little nuts.
you went to you I told people I would go to the opening of an envelope at this point if I can talk about slasher film and try and get the word out. And you know, it reminded me of you because you know, you just wouldn't give up. And I fucking loved it. I loved it. But I'm in no position to judge you or, look at your work and offer a concrete opinion aside from being an audience member. But I've really enjoyed your journey over the years. And
Yeah,
when you asked me to be a part of this, I'm down. I'm
yep.
totally down. I think it's great.
Yeah,
So
and I'm hoping, like, again, I'm basically echoing the thing. Like, I know everyone who kind of knows you because, like, I guess the big thing is you do a lot of horror stuff, and I'm sort
I
of
do.
on non-horror stuff. I tend to do more comedy roles, so like we know everyone who sort of steps in both worlds, but we never really step in each other's, other than when I made some very spoofy horror movies that I don't recommend you personally watch because you'll be like, "What is this?"
Well, you remember there was a period in when Digi 60 was a little more difficult. The
Yeah,
catches were very like it wasn't put in a waterfall, like they
yeah, yeah.
seemed very accessible, which is good by the way, but it feels like it's a little less challenging in some
Yeah,
ways.
it
I got
used
given on the first year back when they did invited filmmakers, I was invited.
yeah,
Thank you very much by the way, Digi 60 for that. That'd be Kevin and when he was running it, Kevin Friel.
yeah.
And who's the other guy? God, I can see his
I
face.
I I'm
I
terrible
made
with
him
names,
spit.
I'm just gonna
I
put it
made
out
him
there.
spit bourbon onto his laptop because I put out horror a couple of times, obviously.
Yeah,
But in the invited filmmaker thing, I was up against Adrian, so I really wanted to make a good impression because Adrian was my mentor for many years.
yeah,
He taught me a lot, and then sent me on my way, and I started doing my own thing. So much thanks to Adrian Langley and Howard Sonnenberg for really getting me off my butt and making my own things. Here we go, guys. Here we go. But the the end point on all of that is if you don't stop,
mhm,
nothing can grow on you, right? Rolling Stone gathers no moss. Um, I think I heard it from I think it was Adrian again, probably. At least I listened, right? He said a professional finds a way to keep moving forward. It's when you hit something, if you can't do it, you have to find a way forward. It doesn't matter if it's on the same project. Like I've been in project, how many projects have you started and it just went nowhere? It happens, right?
yeah,
It's a heartbreaker when it happens, but it happens. And there's nothing you can do about it. But if you find a way to move forward with it, the only time I ever stopped a film was when we got locked down in during the pandemic. It was literally the day they locked everyone down. We had to shut down the store we were shooting in. We had to pack
Yeah.
up everything and we had to go. And over the 2 years, of course, my main actor, got pregnant and had
Yeah.
another child, changed their hairstyle, changed, so everything was useless, everything. And I get it, but I didn't throw away the script because after, if I can pull this off, I'm thinking I have an anthology series in me, maybe 6 to 8 episodes, and I've got the scripts and I've got the product. It's just a question of refining it and making
Mhm.
sure that it's fit and getting it out there, right?
Yep.
So, that's my next bubbling problem in my head. But we're not thinking about that because believe you me, if this goes well, there is the potential to make it into more than just one. There is the
Yep.
potential to take those ideas that I already have and have already sketched out about the universe that this film lives in, and they can become other films because the ideas are still solid. Bravado and bullshit can get you through a lot, but technical prowess is definitely key in independent filmmaking. So,
Yep.
if I have any advice to give, it's spend a little time to learn and specialize in something, and then find other people who've learned and specialized to all the other things. You can't do it all. No matter
Mhm.
how hard you try, you can't do it all. It took me years to learn this and finally accept it. I'm finally ready to accept help from the outside. I'm finally putting myself out there, and it's either going to work or it's going to fail horribly. But I'm going to do it. Isn't that worth something? Don't believe me? Look up Hard Rock Zombies.
There you go. And check out the Indiegogo page, and please give generously, or at the very least, if you made it all the way to the end, share this video or share Kevin Preece's video, which is probably going to be over top of my head right now. And yeah, share the Indiegogo page with people that you know that like horror. And if you
Or
can
even
get it
hate
into
horror, just
Japanese,
like to support independent artists. If they hate horror, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Because again, there's something in this film for even those people who don't like it.
yes, probably blood curdling
And then
screams
some
and
stabbing.
stabbing. That's some
Stabbing.
stabbing.
There is, it's a slasher film. It's called slasher film. It's a
there,
slasher
there you
film.
go. Breaking news as we finish off. There will be stabbing. All
Thank
right.
you very
Thank you,
much for making it
Kevin.
to the end.
Thank you.
Like and
And
subscribe.
thanks for everyone for watching.